Hi, this is Steve Wasala. I'm the CEO for Children's Cancer Cause and wanted to welcome you to today's conversation series, part of our ongoing conversations that we have throughout the year with leaders in the cancer community. And today I'm pleased to be with Sue Emmer, who is the principal of Emmer Consulting. And Sue, maybe you could introduce yourself. You've worked with Children's Cancer Cause for a long time.
I have. Thank you, Steve. I've been a policy consultant to Children's Cancer Cause for more than 6 years and have worked with them sort of across the spectrum from advocacy to developing policy.
That's great. And, you know, this is a particularly exciting time in Washington with the new Congress coming in. And I wonder, you know, from your past years of being on the Hill, you know, what's it like for, you know, those who aren't in Washington? Can you give us some kind of a sense of what happens?
Absolutely, I'm happy to do it. So, first of all, there are a lot of basic things that have to happen. And now that we've established the rules we needed, all the bills have to be reintroduced. So every Congress, it's a reset and a restart. So we're seeing members introduce their priorities. Just this week, the Senate was ready to do that and have bills introduced, etc. A big focus of this Congress has been all the new members. There are many, and new member ramp up. So new members coming in, committee setting. So in the House, at least we have all the new committees set on especially, or most of them set, and some new members on those, and really a new energy in the House, a new party in control. So I think we'll see some new agendas as well in the Senate. The balance stays the same. So while we'll have some new committees with members leaving and some really key appropriators leaving, it will probably be a more similar approach to prior years. One thing I want to say, and this is really a key difference from when I worked up on the Hill. I was on the Hill in the 90s working for two different senators. And at that time, things worked in what we call regular order more, sort of the Schoolhouse Rock version of how a bill becomes a law. It's introduced, it goes through committee, it's passed by both houses. More and more these days, it does not happen that way. We see major, huge packages pass, like what we saw at the end of the year, and what we call the omnibus. And packaged into that are many of the policy items. So not just kind of the funding items, but all the different items. And I think we'll see that in particular this year, where there may be a few key items that pass.
And yeah, just to follow on with that, you know, December was a really exciting time for us in the childhood cancer community and in the health community overall. You mentioned the omnibus budget passing for the fiscal year, and we were really pleased to see that the National Institutes of Health, NIH, got an increase of over $2 billion, or about 5.6%, for biomedical research, as well as the NCI, which got an allocation of over $7 billion and another 5%. So, you know, through our work with One Voice Against Cancer and our partners in the cancer community, that was enacted. And then the other exciting event was something you and I were both part of, with the introduction of the Comprehensive Cancer Survivorship Act that was introduced by Representatives Deborah Wasserman Schultz, Brian Fitzpatrick, and Senators Klobuchar and Cardin. And we were just thrilled. I was literally standing next to the speakers and as they introduced it and spoke about the bill. And I think for our community, this is really an important bill. And I was wondering if maybe you could share a little bit from your perspective about how this will benefit childhood cancer patients and its importance overall.
Steve, yeah, we worked really hard on this bill for a very long time. We've worked closely with Representative Wasserman Schultz, who is herself a cancer survivor and speaks very passionately and eloquently about the issue for many years. So we're just so thrilled that the bill was introduced in the House and the Senate. So I would also like to say that in the House, it was a Fitzpatrick, Wasserman Schultz, DeSaunier bill, and in the Senate, a Carbon Klobuchar bill. And, what we did is we really led the way for the inclusion of childhood cancer provisions relating to survivorship in the bill. I think it's safe to say that we were the key voice, maybe the only voice on this issue from day one. And ultimately, the bill included two separate sections, two separate provisions to improve survivorship for childhood cancer. One of these would encourage the implementation of a Center for Medicare and Medicaid demonstration to look for a standard of care in this area. This is something we've sought for a long time. And basically, this would use Medicaid to look at different models that are out there. We've heard consistently, as recently as this week, that there's not just one model. There probably just shouldn't be one model, but this would really look at what are some of the promising models out there that we could promulgate for use in the field. The other provision would direct Department of Health and Human Services to create a stakeholder work group on this area, look at best practices, and to try to embed these best practices in the Medicaid program and beyond. This is important groundbreaking legislation, and it's something that we'll be working on again this year. It does look like this will be reintroduced this year in both the House and Senate, and we're very excited about that, and we're really excited about increasing co-sponsors on that as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Medicaid demonstration model, and with over half of childhood cancer patients, being in Medicaid, this could be incredibly important for our community. And we often have to dispel the myth that when you complete treatment, you're so-called cured. We know that many survivors, enter young adulthood with a multitude of health problems that they'll face throughout their life in terms of hearing loss, cardiac late effects, infertility, osteoporosis. And I think it's one of the things that is often overlooked when we talk about survivorship. So we're really excited about the direction of this bill and how it could put the spotlight on our community.
Stephen, just if I could weigh in, I think the thing this bill does to address that is really look at that transition of care. So the fact that so often childhood cancer survivors transition to primary care, to either a pediatrician or primary care provider, and they don't really have that kind of transition process that where key information moves through the process.
Yeah, it's an excellent point, and I think again speaks to how do we put the focus on this lifetime of health needs for our population.